Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha. Om Amriteshwarye Namaha. We'll begin with a short meditation. Kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column, your spinal column is erect. Slowly close your eyes. Try to watch your breath, just like a witness, observing each and every inhalation and exhalation that occurs through your body. And as you witness your breath, a slow relaxation settles in. And feel completely relaxed. Now we will chant Om 3 times, and as we chant Om, imagine the sound of Om to arise from your navel area and visualize the sound traveling upwards along your spine, cleansing your body, your mind, and the atmosphere around you. Now kindly take a deep breath. Feel the reverberations of Om in each and every part of your body. Feel further relaxation, complete and deep relaxation. Slowly turn your attention, your Shraddha, inwardly. Once again, focusing on your breath. Breathing normally, but with full awareness of every inhalation and exhalation. And now, as you breathe in, chant the syllable, the mantra, Ma, silently along with your in breath. And when you breathe out, chant Om. So, Ma, when you breathe in, when you inhale, and when you exhale, chant Om. Ma is a representation of divine love, and Om of divine light. You need not visualize love and light when you chant Ma and Om. Just feel your heart being filled with love and light, slowly and slowly. And continue like this for some time. Slowly and slowly, the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtle. You can feel the vibrations rather than the physical sound of Ma and Om. Now feel your heart being filled with love and light, and your heart expanding like a flower bud would blossom into a beautiful flower. Feel the love and the compassion emanating from your heart, radiating. And now visualize this light going out from your heart to all the beings in this world, both sentient and insentient. And as the light falls on each and every one of them, imagine they also become more loving, more peaceful, more blissful, more compassionate, and more content. While we imagine so, we'll chant the Loka Samasta prayer 9 times. Om Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhvlavagundhanavatim Tejomyim Nashtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashri Mukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusikta Suktim Amridanandatmikam Ishwarim Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parambaram Sruti Smriti Purananam Aliyam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krita Vande Bhagavandav Punah Punaha Ishwarau Gururakmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagini Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we were in the second book of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we were coming almost to the end when it was talking about the different lineages and the names, which is not a pertinent information to all of us, because anyway, we are not going to remember those names. And as I said last time, it talked about up to Parikshit, who was the listener in this case, whom Shuka was narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to. And then Sri Shuka also talked about the predecessors and after Parikshit. And not predecessors, the one who were following, who came, all the people who came after Parikshit. And he was giving out the names of all the people. And so I had that question as last time, whether everything is predestined, preordained, because he came out with all the names. And also, if you see in the next few chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about how the world is going to become during Kali Yuga also. Anyway, they say that time is cyclic. Probably it might be the same thing that's going on. And we might be seeing the same movie, but it doesn't matter, because whatever movie we are seeing now, we are crying and laughing, looking at the characters and identifying with the characters. So as long as the identification is there, the movie will continue to go on. So let's I'm finishing with the second chapter now, moving to the 10th skanda. So this is the most important section of the text. It contains about 90 chapters and 3,946 verses. And the theme, it is saying it's apasraya, or the ultimate support, that is God, here is identified with Sri Krishna. So this is this whole skanda is talking about the life of Sri Krishna. And this is as I said, the longest one. And in the prologue, the author says it's a very interesting to understand the prologue because he discusses various aspects of these stories. And what happens is he says the pros and cons of these stories. So how one should be ready to accept these stories and not just to merely hear them, but to digest them properly. So he's just giving some few tips, just like Amma gives before the meditation. And I thought basically that these were very important for everybody to hear. And if it gets boring, please tell me, because it becomes a little bit Vedantic towards the end. And so if it's not as pleasing, just let me know, and then we can just go directly to the stories. And he says some speak of Nirodha or Pralaya as the topic of this skanda. Nirodha means a stoppage, and Pralaya is the huge deluge or the flood. Pralaya is interpreted by them as the laya or dissolution of the mind in God through hearing and contemplating on the devotional narratives and divine excellences described in this skanda. They give Abhasraya as the topic for the 12th skanda. This is the 12th skanda that we are going to discuss. And the distinction makes no difference except that it may serve as a schematic purpose. As pointed out in the general introduction, the specific teaching of the Bhagavata is that bhakti is the 5th purushartha or value attainable by man, and thus supplementing the traditional conception of the 4 purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama and moksha, with bhakti or the divine service as the 5th. So we generally talk about the 4 purusharthas. What are they? They are dharma, that is duty, and artha, that is earning wealth and pleasures. Earning wealth is artha. Kama is pleasures, enjoying pleasures. And moksha is liberation. So these are the 4 ones that is said to be the purusha arthas, means one who has to attain in their life. The human being has to attain in his life or her life. And now they are adding bhakti, that is devotion, as the 5th one. Why? Because it is considered superior even to mukti. Mukti is liberation, understood as attaining emergence in the divine. It is even stated that the Lord bestows mukti sometimes, but seldom bhakti. So, the unique feature of this summit bhakti is that the jiva feels the Almighty Lord as his own and loses himself in his service, forgetting all consideration of selfish returns for oneself, including liberation from transmigratory existence. So, it is said that the Lord bestows mukti, that is liberation, sometimes, but never but very seldom he gives bhakti devotion. Why? It is said that the Lord is a servant to a bhakta. So he becomes a servant. And whatever the bhakta says, the Lord has to do according to that. So that's why one of the reasons that it is you get bhakti not that frequently. But what is the main the qualification of a bhatta is that he loses himself in his service, in the service of the Lord, forgetting all considerations of selfish returns for oneself, including liberation from transmigratory existence. So you don't ask for liberation. A bhakta never asks for liberation. Why? Because as the Bhagavatam says, bhakti is even superior to mukti, liberation. So when you become a bhakta, Rama says, the mukti or liberation will follow you like a dog. You don't need to ask. You will always get mukti, and you will say no. You remember the story, the incident when during Swamiji's 50th birthday, that Amma asked him, what do you want? So everybody made fun of him, saying that what he asked for was Amma's Devi Bhava. That he wanted Amma to see Amma in Devi Bhava. And everybody said, what a fool you are. You could have just asked for liberation and Amma would have given it to you. So a true bhakta, that's why he never wants liberation. Because that separation from the Lord is much sweeter than, it is said, much sweeter than liberation, because once you liberate, then there is no duality. So there is no difference between the Lord and you. So then there is no enjoyment of that bhakti rasa, the beauty of or the honey of devotion. And so he says, service of the Supreme Being becomes the highest destiny of the jiva. So that's when a bhakta becomes the servant of all the jivas. And while in all the earlier skandhas, these doctrines have been adumbrated, it is the 10th skandha, through the life and teachings of Sri Krishna and his relationship with his various devotees, that these doctrines are incisively taught, especially how God could be loved as one's own through the various channels of human love. An elaborate account of Krishna's life, therefore, forms the main topic of this skandha. And before taking up the doctrinal side, it will be appropriate to deal with the nature of the narration. So to a modern mind, the first question that will occur with regard to these narratives will be about the historicity of these incidents. So many people will ask whether this question, right, whether this really happened. Was Lord Krishna a real character? Did he live? Or is it just an imagination of some poet or a sage? So he says, we have discussed in the general introduction how historicity is of little importance in respect of divine manifestations. And according to Indian tradition, Sri Krishna's demise coincides with the beginning of the Kali era, which is in 3102 BC. And modern historians, however, do not accept the Kali era. But still, they have found ample scientific proof for Krishna's historicity. He must have flourished not later than 900 BC. According to the Parigatar, in his book, Ancient Indian Historical Traditions, Chandogya Upanishad makes mention of Devaki Putra Krishna as the disciple of Ghor Angiras. And the teachings ascribed to him here are in several respects in accordance with those of the Gita. And Panini, who is the founder of the Sanskrit grammar, he was a great sage who found the Sanskrit grammar, who lived in the beginning of the 7th century before the Christian era, if not earlier still, speaks of Vasudevakas, or the sect that followed Vasudeva, indicating that much before his time, Krishna Vasudeva, Krishna the son of Vasudeva, the Vrishni, hero and philosopher, had already been recognized as a divine personage, and that his followers had spread far and wide, even up to Gandhara. And Gandhara is now modern Afghanistan, where Panini lived. So the Lord Krishna's followers spread up to Afghanistan at that time and beyond, even beyond. And Panini was living in Afghanistan, which was named at that time as Gandhara. And Gandhari came from there. Remember in the Mahabharata, the character Gandhari, the wife of Dhritarashtra, because she was the daughter of the king of Gandhara, she was known as Gandhari. And it was modern Afghanistan. And information about the widespread prevalence of the Krishna cult is got from the reference to it by the Greek ambassador Megasthenes, which was in 4th century BC. From the Goshundi stone inscriptions, which was like in 200 to 150 BC, informing of a Bhagavata setting upon the compound wall of a temple of Vasudeva, from Basnagar inscriptions mentioning a Greek named Heladorus as Parama Bhagavata, and from Nanaghar inscriptions which describes Vasudeva as a deity. Anyway, all these things are describing the various forms of Vasudeva, Krishna. There is, however, another element in Krishna, beside his being a saintly philosopher and a hero of some royal clans of Mathura. It consists in his life among the cowherds in Vrindavana as the pastoral Krishna, taking full part in the life of work, adventures and love of the pastoral and the nomadic cowherds, which in later time has gained dominance over other features of Krishna saga. So this is the time when Lord Krishna was in Vrindavana. And historical students of Vaishnavism like Bhandarkar is a famous historian from India, who are very much dominated by the outlook of Western scholars, have sought to analyze the Krishna saga as a combination of these three streams of tradition: the philosopher Devaki Putra, the disciple of Ghorangiras of the Chandogya Upanishad, and Vasudeva Krishna, the hero of the Mathura clans, and the pastoral Krishna of the cowherds of Vrindavana. An analytical study like this seems at first illuminating, but will on scrutiny be found mere unwarranted guesswork with the sole purpose of depersonalizing a personality and making a ridiculous and meaningless entity. So it is like analyzing the exquisitely beautiful body of a person in so many units of carbon and other constituent elements. Or I would rather say it's like studying the dead body and saying, look at this, look at that. Such an analysis may give us some interesting information, but is counterproductive in the matter of giving us an insight into his personality. So while we can in some way profit from the above mentioned analytical study of Krishna, we can leave it aside as irrelevant in assessing his historicity. And there is nothing contradictory and unbelievable in the same personality being the one person indicated by the three strands we find in the analysis of Krishna of the Bhagavata. So the three strands are: one where he is the philosopher Krishna, then he is the disciple of the sage Angiras, and then the third one is the cowherd Lord Krishna. And Krishna was on his mother's side Devaki Putra. He was called as Devaki Putra because son of Devaki. Putra means son. And on his father's side, Vasudeva Krishna. He was the son of Vasudeva, His father's name was Vasudeva. So he is therefore known both as Krishna and Vasudeva. And the Vrishni clan to which he belonged has a very important and widespread Vedic clan, and Krishna, its leader, by the power and holiness of his personality and the great part he played in the cultural and political life of his times, as we find from the Mahabharata, become canonized among his clan and among many other people. He was looked upon as the incarnation of Vishnu, the Godhead in the Vaishnava theology. In the Chandogya Upanishad, we find Ghora Angiras instructing Krishna in meditation centering on the solar deity. And Vishnu is identical with the solar deity of the Vedas. And it is he who is invoked in the Gayatri mantra of the Vedas. So we can see that he is also meditating on the solar deity, but in the Gayatri mantra, it is he is invoked because Vishnu is the one who is the deity who is invoked. Om Bhurabhuva Swatat Savitar Varenyam, that Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prajotyat. So in course of time, Vishnu became the most dominant among the Vedic deities and came to be accepted as the supreme being, of whom the other Vedic deities like Indra and Varuna became minor expressions. And Krishna, being an exponent of a theology extolling Vishnu, came to be recognized as the incarnation of Vishnu himself. And it is not unusual in the history of cults for the founder or prophet of a cult to be recognized as the manifestation of the cult deity himself. Just we are saying, he's saying like, now some people look upon Amma as Devi, right? And they say that Amma is none other than the Divine Mother. So we can be called as a cult, right? And but we are saying that the cult deity, who is Devi, goddess, Divine Mother, itself is manifesting as Amma. And the main facts of Krishna's life can be gathered from the Bhagavata and the Mahabharata. He was born in captivity, in the prison of the tyrant king Kamsa of Mathura, as a son of Vasudeva, a leader of the Vrishnis whom Kamsa was trying to suppress. He was transferred immediately after birth from the city of Kamsa to the cowherd settlement of a chieftain of herdsmen called Nanda. It was in the Gokula of Nanda at Brindavana, and at Brindavana that he grew up into youth. Some of the most important spiritual manifestations of Krishna, the incarnate, took place in those places. And from Brindavana, he migrated to Mathura, the capital of Kamsa, and killed Kamsa, the oppressive king. And from this time onwards, he gradually became the leader of his Vrishni clan, though he did not assume their kingship. So that is very important to note this. I mean, just giving an overall perspective of Lord Krishna's life. And when he moved to Mathura, he became the head of the Vrishni clan, but he did not assume their kingship. And he suppressed many tyrant kings of his time, the chief of those being Jarasandha, Yavana, Bana, Shalva, Shishupala, etc., and made the Vrishnis one of the most powerful peoples of that time. So his clan became one of the most powerful. And he founded a new capital at Dwaraka on the western seashore and played a very important part in shaping the cultural and political life of the India of his times. So he established that big city of Dwaraka. Even today, it is in modern day, it is in the west part, in Gujarat, and it is said that Dwaraka went under the sea, and they have found many artifacts from under the sea, which was from the time of when Dwaraka went under the sea. Though he did not himself fight, He took a leading and decisive part in the great conflict between the two lines of Kurus, the son of the Dhritarashtra and those of Pandu, culminating in the great war described in the Mahabharata. So during the war, Mahabharata, he did not himself fight. That's why he took a vow and told everybody that he will not take a weapon. He will never fight. Except one time, he did take a weapon. That was when Bhishma was sending arrows at Arjuna. And Lord Krishna became so angry that he jumped out of his chariot with a sword. And why? Because Bhishma actually was not aiming at Arjuna, but he was aiming at Krishna. And Bhishma was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. And he wanted the Lord to come and challenge him and kill him in that manner. He wanted to die in the hands of the Lord. So that's what he was trying to do. But what happened was Lord Krishna jumped out, and then when Bhishma just came out of his chariot and he prostrated to Lord Krishna and said, "Okay, kill me." Then Krishna laughed and went back. It's like, you see Amma coming at us with so much of anger and all these things, and when we just subdue ourselves and says, "Amma, do what you want," Amma will start laughing and she will just go back. It's like that. So, Lord Krishna did not take part in the war. And while his life was full of activity, he was also a philosopher and teacher of spiritual gospel, which came to be known as Bhagavata Dharma, and is chiefly expounded in the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavata Purana. Srimad Bhagavata came, as I said, the Dharma according to the Srimad Bhagavatam is Bhagavata Dharma, which is the life of a devotee. And he's saying that it was chiefly expounded in the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavata Purana. And the Bhagavata Dharma is noted for the fact that it is meant for every man or woman also. The Vedic teachings catered mainly for the elite. The Vedic religion had, on the one hand, got elaborated into a vast system of complicated sacrificial rituals to which only the Brahmanas, means the Brahmins, the people of the highest class, and the Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas were the warriors and the people who were kings at that time and who were the warriors like generals. And so it was only available, the Vedas were only available to those people. And so for an ordinary person, nothing was available. So that's why the Lord came up with the Bhagavata Dharma. And on the other hand, it had developed the philosophy of the Upanishads, which required high intellectual training and moral competency for their comprehension. So to study the Vedas, you needed learning Sanskrit and the grammar and all these things. And to even in those days it was in Sanskrit, so that's why it needed a high intellectual training and moral competency for their understanding. But it was to the credit of Sri Krishna when the common man in India was without a simple and vital religion. He provided him with a devotional gospel in which action, emotion, and intellect played equal parts, and with a universal Ishvara, means God, who could be communed with through love and service, and who responded to their prayers and the deepest yearnings of man. So you just imagine, this at that time when these requirements were so high. I mean, even today also it's not much different. You need a superior intellectual understanding to understand the Vedas. But the Bhagavatam is very so easily understood by everybody. And so it was Lord Krishna who simplified the Vedas, and whatever is said in the Vedas is said through the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. And it is said, while the skeleton of the historical Krishna is clearly visible through the narratives of the Bhagavata and the Mahabharata, the finished personality that we get as a central figure in the Bhagavata is not a mere man or a hero or a philosopher or even a saint, but the very God whose contact transforms sinners into saints, ignorant men into sages, sense-bound beings into spiritual ecstatics, and even animals into devotees of God. So we can see that he is saying when you look at Bhagavata and Mahabharata, and also in the Mahabharata, especially the Bhagavad Gita, it is just as we see, it is for the common man. And it is not for a philosopher, it's not for a saint or a hero. It's it's a way how God transforms sinners into saints, ignorant men into sages, sense-bound beings into spiritual ecstatics, and even animals into devotees of God. I mean, when other people hear this, people who do not know Amma or who do not have understanding of what spirituality is, what will they do? And they will say this is just a pure tale. How can animals become devotees? Or how can an ordinary being become a sage? Or how can, a sinner become saint? So all these questions will arise. But when we look into the life of Amma, we can see that, thousands of people have turned a new leaf. And they have become, those people who were previously drunkards or murderers or prostitutes, they have changed their lives and become, almost like saints. We can't say saints, but they are following a life which is dharmic now. And in the sense, we can see that the sense-bound beings into spiritual ecstatics. So many people who were living in the world, of the world, bound by the world, and enjoying the pleasures of the world, today, they don't want to. Why? Because they met Amma and their lives have changed. And nothing is more dear to them. And many people even come and tell me, getting up 3:30 is difficult in the morning. Here in the West Coast, we have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning or 3:30. It's highly difficult, but still we do it. And, some of them thanked me for the relay of the previous day's webcast, because some of them wanted to see it later. But still, people get up early in the morning. And people used to sleep till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Now they get up at least at 5 or 6 in the morning. And the first thing they do is watch Amma, which is a spiritual activity by itself, sadhana by itself. So Amma is slowly, taking us, even making us come out of the bed, come out of our laziness, from our tamas, and slowly making us walk towards that goal. And then even animals into devotees. Look at Amma's presence, and we can see that in her presence there were so many animals. And name a few are, that we know is Bhakti, Tumban, and now Shakti. And a few others who came earlier were, the cows that gave milk to Amma, the dog, the rabid dog, which died in the lap of Amma. So, and the cow, which came running from her uncle's house to Amma's house and where Amma was sitting and meditating and gave Amma milk. So the eagle that dropped food in Amma's lap, the dogs that guarded Amma and brought food for Amma. You can think about innumerable animals which were in the guise of animals, but they were really devotees. So Amma has turned even these animals into devotees. So which we know, which is a fact. So when we ask for the proof, when many people ask the proof for this, it's very evident for all of us. We see it with our eyes, and there is no question to be asked. And he says, Lord Krishna is the essence of Satchidananda personified into a human form, so that weak man who cannot rise through meditation and samadhi into communion with the divine, forming his own spiritual substratum, may get an opportunity to contact him, the very same divinity, through the senses. So the very basic reason they are saying how and why an avatar comes down to our plane. So we cannot meditate, rise through meditation, or go into samadhi, but we get an opportunity to contact the divinity through our senses. And all his human actions during the span of his earthly life are meant not only to bless his contemporaries and establish righteousness on earth, but to provide for the pious contemplation of posterity the spiritually potent account of his earthly deeds, by meditating on which they could establish with him the same devotional relationships which his great devotees had with him in his lifetime. So he's saying you just have to think about all this and meditate on these stories. When you meditate on the stories of the gopis, I haven't seen. Most of the bhaktas, most of the devotees that come to Amma at least have a drop of tear in their eyes. Why? Because they become so identified with the gopis and the stories of the gopis. So he's saying that we can enjoy the same devotional relationship which his great devotees had with Lord Krishna during his lifetime. And he is depicted as an expression of redeeming love of the God. That is Anugraha Shakti. Anugraha Shakti means the power of blessing of God, of Ishvara, which manifests in different ages and in different lands, bringing spiritual enlightenment and bliss into otherwise dreary life of humanity. And what is done in the Purana is that the historical role, whether it be, is restructured as the expression of a metaphysical truth, which is embodied in the famous Bhagavata dictum, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That is, Krishna is the real Bhagavan himself. So, he's saying that Lord Krishna is which is Vishnu, is the Lord himself. Like we say, Amma is God herself. And theologians have used it to downgrade the other incarnations and conceptions of Mahavishnu and contend that Krishna is the deity and other conceptions of Vishnu are his manifestations. It is a merely cult-oriented interpretation. On the other hand, the purpose of the dictum seems to be more to assert that Krishna is just the Satchidananda, Parabrahman of the Upanishads revealed in human terms. So when you say Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna is indeed Lord, indeed the great Lord himself. So it is the same as saying that Satchidananda Swarupam. That is the great Upanishad saying that Tattvamasi or Sarvam Brahmamaya, so it's like that. So uh, the same terms that what the Upanishads say is being said in the same manner. And Brahman, the infinite being, is the unaffected substratum of the manifested world, himself being both its material and instrumental cause. He has of himself and in himself projected this universe of multiplicity with all its elevating, ennobling manifestations, its high ideals of truth, self-sacrifice, love, and service, and also their opposites of disvalues, the evil aspects of life like cruelty, poverty, selfishness, exploitation, and all-around degradation. And in the midst of these contradictory values is Brahman, with none of them affecting him. So you talk about the supreme consciousness and the both the positive and the negative qualities, saying the supreme, though it has been manifested from the Brahman, it came from Brahman itself, supreme consciousness itself, Brahman is not touched by it. It remains aloof. And he shines always as the Satchidananda, existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute without any diminution or contamination of his being. And Krishna is the human version of this metaphysical Satchidananda of the Upanishads. So he's the perfect person amidst all imperfect situations. The eternal boy, the paragon of masculine beauty, who always remain in his spiritual elevation, absolutely unperturbed and unaffected, be it amidst the poverty and hardships of the cowherd settlement, amidst the ascetic rigors of anchorites and spiritual aspirants, amidst the seductive charming of dancing beauties, amidst the gory scenes of the battlefield, amidst the self-destructive holocaust of his own kith and kin, or amidst the peaceful life associations. And as he himself teaches, he lives in this world like a lotus leaf in water, absolutely untouched and unaffected by the environment, a mere witness to it, but never its victim. So just a beautiful portrayal of Lord Krishna's life. Just like the water that remains on the lotus leaf, it is not affected by the leaf, nor it is affected by all the surroundings. It just stays separate. So he was just in amidst all these calamities, all the problems. As Amma says, he was always smiling. And that is what is saying here. And though this truth is clearly brought out by this Purana in its depiction of Krishna, there are critics who refuse to see this truth and try to evaluate Krishna as a man and accuse him of moral lapses in certain features of his life, like his relationship with gopis, his having a household of 16,000 wives, and his effecting the destruction of enormous numbers of kings and their armies. They can as well find God immoral and cruel for creating a world where evil seems to contend on equal terms with good, where every individual is born to die, where lust, greed, cruelty, and untruth play the most dominant roles. No one who accepts the idea of a God who would tolerate such a view. So, he's saying just the other side of this argument. When you see Lord Krishna as a human being, there is so many fallacies that happen in this story. Like, for example, this time with the gopis. Lord Krishna was only 8 or 9 at that time when he was living with the gopis. He was born there, right? And he was only 8 or 9 at that time. And people started making stories, especially like when Lord Krishna had stolen the clothes of the gopis while they were taking a bath in the river. So all these stories kind of can be totally misinterpreted. if not properly understood. And he's saying that when you see this story, there is war, there is evil, there is there's lust, there is greed, cruelty, and everything is there. As they say, you can find everything in Mahabharata, and that is in the world. And if there is something that is not in Mahabharata, then you will not find in the world. So all the human characteristics are there, portrayed in these texts, even Bhagavatam also. And no one who accepts the idea of a God would tolerate such a view. That's what he's saying. How can God be so cruel? How can God be so lustful? How can Krishna have 16,008 wives? 16,000 wives. How can he have 16,000 wives? Well, when people ask me this question, I say, you have one wife or one husband. That itself is such a great problem. So imagine having 16,000 wives. Well, at least it is to his credit that he had 16,000 wives and all his wives were happy. Right? So not only that, just a joke aside, when we think about this, look at Amma. Amma has so many disciples, so many devotees from all over the world who come and complain to her, who tell her so many problems, who is this all thing, and she has to listen. And if she doesn't listen, then we go and complain, oh, Amma did not hear what I said. There's no need to tell Amma. Right? And Amma, of course, it's just for us to understand that when we go and tell Amma, we have poured our heart to Amma. We should feel that we poured out our heart to Amma. And Amma heard it. And that's what makes us happy. Not the solution, not the problem. So just like we can say that when we poured our heart, Amma listened to us. If Amma doesn't listen to us, then what happens? I lost my faith in Amma. Amma doesn't like me, or Amma doesn't love me. Amma loves everybody except me, and she ignored me. So thousands of problems and comments. Just like, a husband and a wife, or a lover and his beloved. So Amma has, if Lord Krishna had 16,000, Amma has million husbands, I would say, all over the world. And Lord Krishna had only in India. But the problem with Amma is that she has everybody all over the world. And so, he's saying that nobody is going to understand or accept, if you have an intellectual view, nobody is going to understand, tolerate such a view of God. And on the other hand, he would contend that God is unaffected by any of the world's defects and undergoes no diminution of his being by manifesting this universe as its uninvolved witness. It is forgotten by the critics of Krishna that this is the implication of calling him Bhagavan Swayam. So he's saying, when the critics say that all these things about Lord Krishna, they forget the fact that this was said earlier. Like Bhagavan Swayam, that is, the Lord himself has taken the form of Lord Krishna and come out unto this world. And those who do not accept, this is the beauty about it. He says, those who do not accept this unique status of Krishna, but look upon only as a man and judge him accordingly, would do well not to read the 10th skanda, as it will be of no benefit to them. So if you want to judge Lord Krishna, if you want to see him as just a common, ordinary, human, mortal body, then don't read the 10th skanda. Or even don't read the Bhagavatam. It's of no use. Because you will always be questioning all these stories, you will be always thinking, why did this happen? Did that happen? And how did that happen? How did Lord Krishna kill all the demons? So it is way beyond the intellectual understanding of an intellectual being or a rational being who thinks only rationally. So that's why he says you have to be a bhakta, a devotee. A devotee goes beyond his intellect. There is no intellect for him when it comes to the Lord. When it comes to the realm of Ishvara or God or Guru, you don't question. You just accept, merely accept. And it does it, as Amma says, it's not just merely acceptance, but tattvatile bhakti. That means bhakti, understanding the principles. So, when you go to Amma and when you complain, sometimes, as I said, as some people have told me, they might have a pain in their hand. And the devotees go and complain to Amma saying, oh, Amma, my right hand finger is paining. And Amma looks at it and says, oh, I have also the same pain. And Amma identifies with them in one sense. But people don't understand why Amma says that. And if you don't really understand that, and then you come back, you start thinking, why Amma, all Amma said was that she was also having a pain. My pain never went away. And but if you have the intellectual, the knowledge behind that also, why is Amma saying that? Because Amma wants us to go through that karma. Amma wants us to, it's not that Amma cannot take it away. But if she took it away, as Amma says, you'll have to take many births to come back and go through it again. So Amma is saying, just bear with it, don't worry. And Amma gives the strength also to bear with it. As we see so many devotees, not only of Krishna, now we'll see the devotees of Krishna, as well as Amma's devotees, going through different struggles in their life. And one can ask this question, right? Why are they going through struggles when Amma is there? Or when Lord Krishna is there? Why are you going through all these struggles in life? You could have just, Amma could have just made a sankalpa. Well, Amma could have made a sankalpa and took us to realization. Just made a sankalpa that you get realized, and in the morning when you wake up, you'll wake up realized. It was as easy as that. But Amma doesn't do that. Why doesn't she do that? Because she wants us to strive, work, and earn that money. So similarly, in order to have that bhakti, the devotion aspect, it's not purely blind devotion. We have to understand it's a devotion with intellectual understanding of what Amma does, why Amma does, and what is the reason behind it. So it is the same thing with Bhagavatam. We can just read it and understand it and maybe ask many questions as to why Lord Krishna did this, why Lord Krishna didn't do that. But at the same time, we have to have a proper understanding that, there is also that Bhagavad Gita, which Lord Krishna talks, and it's just the essence of Upanishads. So we can see that Lord Krishna is teaching the essence of the Upanishads through the Gita also. So it's not just merely stories. So it is also about, as we said, the three aspects of, one is the disciple of Ghor Angiras, the Guru. Second is the the philosopher Krishna, and the third one is the aspect of Krishna who is the beloved of the gopis and the people. So these three aspects are which we are going to see soon in the 10th skanda. So there's a little more of the prologue to understand these stories, so which is beautiful to have an understanding, so that we can really utilize these stories, as they said, for our spiritual benefit. It's not just merely listening. In India, they do this Bhagavata Saptaha in the temples, especially in Kerala, where one lady or one man will come and start reading Bhagavatam. Either it will be Sanskrit or Malayalam poetry, which is almost like Sanskrit. And there will be like 10 people listening to it. You know why these 10 people come? Because in 2 or 3 hours they'll get a nice lunch. That's why they are sitting there. And that's the reason why they come to listen to Bhagavatam. And so they just eat have the lunch, and then go and come back in the evening for dinner. So that is the point of Bhagavatam listening for them. But it should not be like that. That's what the point is. When we listen to the Bhagavatam, the stories of Lord Krishna, it's also philosophical, and it has so many of the spiritual points which we can incorporate. And as I said, if you think about these stories can become like a meditation. So it's the same case when we think about Amma, isn't it? When we think about Amma's life and what all Amma has done, it's also a meditation. So similarly to Bhagavatam, the life of all the saints, we can see that it's nothing but, when we read and go through it, is a spiritual meditation itself. So let's contemplate more on these stories and understand these stories in a much deeper level than in a superficial level. And may Amma give us the strength and the knowledge to understand this. Om Amriteshwari Namah. शुभ्र सरोरुह निलये देवी अमृतानंदमयी अमृतानंदमयी जय मां वीणा पुस्तकधारी सरस्वती अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
शुभ्र सरोरुह निलये देवी अमृतानंदमयी जय मां वीणा पुस्तकधारी सरस्वती अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
शुभ्र सरोरुह निलये देवी अमृतानंदमयी जय मां वीणा पुस्तकधारी सरस्वती अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
शुभ्र सरोरुह निलये देवी अमृतानंदमयी जय मां वीणा पुस्तकधारी सरस्वती अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
सकल कलामयी सरसिज नयने अमृतानंदमयी श्वेतांबरधर सुंदर रूपे अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
सकल कलामयी सरसिज नयने अमृतानंदमयी श्वेतांबरधर सुंदर रूपे अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
गान विलोले नाद शरीरे अम्मा गान विलोले नाद शरीरे अमृतानंदमयी काव्यालाप विनोदिनी जननी अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
गान विलोले नाद शरीरे अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी काव्यालाप विनोदिनी जननी अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
विद्यादायिनी विश्वविमोहिनी अमृतानंदमयी विजयवरप्रद करुणावाहिनी अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
विद्यादायिनी विश्वविमोहिनी अमृतानंदमयी विजयवरप्रद करुणावाहिनी अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
विधि शिव विनुदे शाश्वत सुखदे अम्मा विधि शिव विनुदे शाश्वत सुखदे अमृतानंदमयी श्यामल वर्णे शारद मादे अमृतानंदमयी ओ माता अमृतानंदमयी जय मां
विधि शिव विनुते शाश्वत
Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Gajanana he Gajanana, Gajanana he Gajavadana.
Gajanana, he Gajanana, Gajanana, he Gajavadana.
Gajanana he Gajanana, Gajanana he Gajavadana.
Gajanana, he Gajanana, Gajanana, he Gajavadana.
Gajanana he Gajanana, Gajanana he Gajavadana.
Gajanana, he Gajanana, Gajanana, he Gajavadana.
Gajanana he Gajanana, Gajanana he Gajavadana.
Gajanana, he Gajanana, Gajanana, he Gajavadana.
Gajanana he Gajanana,
Gajanana, he Gajavadana.
Gajanana he Gajanana,
Gajanana, he Gajavadana.
Varana Madhar Gajanana, Varana Madhar Gajanana, Parvati Nandana Gajanana.
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 Karunyalaya Gajanana, Karanapurusha Gajanana.
Karunyalaya Gajanana, Karanapurusha Gajanana.
Gajanana he
Gajanana, Gajanana, he Gajavadana. Gajanana, he Gajanana, Gajanana, he Gajavadana.
विघ्नविनायक गजानना सज्जन सेवित गजानना
विनायक गजानना सज्जन सेवित गजानना
चित्घन श्यामल नित्य निरामय सत्फलदायक गजानना
चित्तन श्यामल नित्य निरामय सत्फलदायक गजानना
गजानना हे गजानना
गजानना हे गजवदना
गजानना
हे गजानना गजानना हे गजवदना
आर्त संरक्षक गजानना आत्म प्रकाश गजानना
संरक्षक गजानना आत्म प्रकाश गजानना
आनंदामृत पूरित मोद सुराधिप सेवित गजानना
आनन्दामृत पूरित मोद सुराधिप सेवित गजानना
गजानना हे गजानना गजानना हे गजवदना
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 मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधीपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते
वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
नन्दनन्दन कृष्ण गोपाला मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर वाला
कृष्ण गोपाला मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर वाला
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
देवगी नन्दन हे घनश्यामा गोपी मनोहर मंगलधामा
देवकी नन्दन हे घनश्यामा गोपी मनोहर मंगलधामा
कालिय नर्तन हे नंदलाला
कालियवर्धन हे नन्दलाला
कालिय मर्दन हे नंदलाला
कालियवर्धन हे नन्दलाला
नाचो नाचो रे भैया बांसुरी वाला मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
सूरदास के प्रभु गिरिधारी राधा कृष्णा कुंज विहारी
सूरदास के प्रभु गिरिधारी राधा कृष्ण कुंज विहारी
वसुदेव नंदन असुर निखंडन वसुदेवनन्दन असुरनिखण्डन
वसुदेवनन्दन असुरनिखण्डन
भवभयभञ्जन जगद्वन्दना मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर गोपी कृष्ण रैया
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर गोपी कृष्ण कन्हैया
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर गोपी कृष्ण कन्हैया
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर गोपी कृष्ण कन्हैया
अभी देना तुम तेरा दर्शन
अभी देना तुम तेरा दर्शन
मेरा कृष्ण कन्हैया अग्राधिपति द्वारकाधिपति वैकुण्ठपति श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
नन्दनन्दन कृष्ण गोपाला मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर बाला
नन्दना कृष्ण गोपाला मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर बाला
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर बाला
मीरा के
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
ഹരേ നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ ജയ ഗോപാല ഹരേ.
ഹരേ നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോവിന്ദ ഹരേ. നാരായണ നാരായണ ജയ് ജയ് ഗോപാല ഹരേ. नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
हरि नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
गोविंद हरे 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 जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण 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 नारायण
नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण
नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण
नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण
नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण
नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण
नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे
नारायण नारायण जय जय गोविंद हरे नारायण नारायण जय जय गोपाल हरे अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलम् प्रणमता मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलम् भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलम् सुकृतिनाम् एकाश्रये मङ्गलम् अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलम् प्रणमदा मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलम् भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलम् सुकृतिनाम् एकाश्रये मङ्गलम् हृदयेश्वरी मङ्गलम् हृदिलसत्तेजोमयी मङ्गलम् मृदुभाषिणी मङ्गलम् विजयदा प्रेमाग्रदे मङ्गलम् विजयदा प्रेमाग्रदे मङ्गलम् विजयदा प्रेमाग्रदे मङ्गलम्. प्रेम भक्ति संदायिनी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी समगमदायिनी मनवयकारिणी अमृतानंदमयी सततं मम हृदि वसदा देवी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी पतितोद्धार निरंतर हृदये अमृतानंदमयी परमहंस पद निलये देवी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी हे जननी जनि मरण निवारिणी अमृतानंदमयी हे श्रुत जन परिपालिनी जयदा अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी सुरजन पूजित जय जगदम्बा अमृतानंदमयी सहज समाधिषु धन्ये देवी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी ओम जय जय जगजननी वंदे अमृतानंदमयी मंगल आरती माधव भवानी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ